There's a room in a hotel in New York City that shares our fate and deserves our pity. I don't want to remember it all. The promises I made if you
Greetings everybody, this is Emily from A Pages in Ink, and today I will be doing my book talk on books 1 and 2 for the All Hallows read-along, read-a-thon that Books Beyond Imagining is doing on Tumblr. So the first book I read in this so far is The Haunting of Sunshine Girl by Paige Mackenzie. If you don't know or you haven't heard of The Haunting of Sunshine Girl or Paige Mackenzie, Paige Mackenzie is a girl that started a YouTube channel on YouTube, obviously, that kind of turned into like a webisode kind of thing called The Haunting of Sunshine Girl Network, which was a bunch of little episodes about a girl named Sunshine who moves to a house, I want to say in Oregon. I think the house she moves to in the webisodes is Oregon. In the book, it's Washington. But she moves with her mom and ends up moving into this spooky haunted house, and she's trying to prove to her mom that the house is haunted, and her mom doesn't believe her, so she starts recording videos as evidence to show her mom, and a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then there's this whole long plot that actually was really good, and I was really into her videos. Then they kind of slowed down, and I think she stopped making them for a little while because either she was writing this or she just ran out of whatever. So when first I found out about the book. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. There's a channel, so I went and checked it out and watched it, and I really liked it. So when I saw that The Haunting of Sunshine Girl was 20% off in hardcover at Target, I had to. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, but it was technically a 4.5 out of 5. I think I prefer the YouTube channel version, even though I think things are a little inconsistent, but I believe it's because she was still kind of working on the whole plot idea. There are elements to the webisodes that I kind of wish she had kept in her book itself, but you know, it was up to her. It was her decision. So it was a 4.5 out of 5. I did really enjoy it. It wasn't as creepy as I would have hoped it was, but I think it was because I knew where the story was going. There's one part in the book that I was like, oh my god, that's intense. Other than that, it wasn't as, creepy. But I still really enjoyed it. The second book I read, in comparison to pretty much everything that I've been reading for a while, and especially The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, this is gonna look really small, but it's Deep, Dark, and Dangerous by Mary Downing Hahn. It's this big. It's pretty much a middle school, elementary school level book, but it's one of the only creepy, spooky ghost story books that I own, and I wasn't really thinking about going to the library to get horror stories, which I ended up doing anyway. But yeah, so I decided that I would read this. I also have another book by Mary Downing Hahn, which is The Old Willis Place, which is, still kind of like the middle school short little, but I have read it kind of recently. I just kind of was in the mood for a ghost story, and I didn't have anything to read yet. So I didn't pick it up, and I'm not gonna pick it up. But I got a bunch of books from the library, and actually I think I will show you what I got from the library. So at one point this is probably gonna be pushed back, but I may cut it out so you won't even know. The book that I'm currently reading is The Third Twin by C.J. Omalo. I don't know how to say it. This is obviously a library book. This is one that I had picked up because it seemed really interesting. It's about two twin sisters who have kind of created an imaginary triplet. They call her the third twin, and her name is Alicia, and it's Alexa, Ava, and Alicia. And at first she's just, an excuse to get out of trouble. She's an excuse for them to go out with boys without having to worry about commitment. Then it kind of takes a downward, it takes a nosedive, and the people that Alicia has been going out with are suddenly dying. And there's evidence pointing to Alicia, but Alicia's made up. So they don't know what's happening. And so far, I'm on page 97. So far, it's pretty good. Obviously, there's a whole ton more. So we'll see where that goes. But so far, it's not bad. So I'm going to push this away. You guys can see my lights. Look at that. I got lights for my bookshelf. Here's my Dauntless tote that I got from Owl Crate. Yeah. I knew I would use it. Now I have to get back in reposition. Alright, so the other books I have. One of these I'm not reading till November because it's not a horror story. But I couldn't resist getting it because I don't know if it's going to be there the next time I go to the library. And I'll show you that later. Right now, I have Shutter by Courtney Almeida. This one is about a girl who I think is like the descendant of not Alex Van Helsing, of just Van Helsing. Yeah, one of the last descendants of the Van Helsing lineage. So she's a descendant of Van Helsing who kills vampires, and she helps spirits with her camera that one of her friends, who is like into paranormal technologies, rig so she can help ghosts cross over when she takes a picture of them, which I thought was really interesting. And then there's like a whole bunch of really ghostly bad things that happen. And they're infected with a curse called Soul Chain, which kind of like gives them this disease. So that'll be interesting. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Then there is that book that I will show you in a second. Then I have 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad, which I was actually recommended to read, and I actually found it at the library, by my friend Pooja. And so I thought I would pick it up and see if I liked it. It's about teens that win this like lottery thing so they can get sent to the moon and live there, but apparently something happens and they realize that they're not going to be rescued. So it can get kind of creepy. Then I have Temptation by R.L. Stine, which is about vampires. There is like a competition going on between like this vampire group called the Eternal Ones, and they have to seduce a human over the course of 3 days and drink little bits of their blood like every 3 days, and they have to be careful or they'll either eat them or like, you know, drink all their blood and kill them, or yeah, so there's that one, which I haven't read really many of R.L. Stine's books, but I've seen a lot of the, like, I don't know if they're the adaptations, but I've seen like the movies and like the TV episodes of R.L. Stine stuff, and I thought they were pretty good, so I figured I would pick that one up. I think I have read one other R.L. Stine book, but I can't think of what it is right now. Then I have Fear, which is a collection of spooky, ghosty stories of suspense and horror by Meg Cabot, Heather Brewer, and a bunch of other authors. Let me see if I can find all of them. I'm excited for Heather Brewer because Heather Brewer now goes by Zachary Brewer. But I love him. I love his work. So, okay. R.L. Stine, Heather Graham, Suzanne Wen, Jennifer Allison, Heather Brewer, Zach Brewer, Peg Cahert, Aileen Ferguson, Ryan Brown, F. Paul Wilson, Meg Cabot, Walter Sorrells, James Rollins, and Tim Malini. Malini. So I'm excited. I'm super excited for Mr. Brewer's work because he is fantastic. Big fan. So proud of him too. Alright, then I have I Kill Hunters by Barry Lyga, which is about a guy who is a descendant of, I forgot which one. I don't think it says. It doesn't say in the summary, but it says that he is the son of one of the most infamous serial killers, and he watched his father kill a bunch of people, and decides that once his father's in jail, there's like this one case that police are investigating, and he jumps in and decides to help solve the case. So, yeah. So those are all my scary stories, horror stories, ghost stories. Then I have this book that I'm waiting till November to read, and if I have to renew it from the library, I will, because I've heard a lot of, well, actually I haven't heard a lot about it, but I've heard that it's really good. And that is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adhay. I feel bad for mispronouncing it, but I'm sorry. I'm actually really bad at mispronouncing people's names. Yeah, so I've heard a lot about it. Well, like I said, I haven't heard a lot about it. I've just heard it's really good. And I didn't know if it was going to be there when I went back, so I went and picked it up. Anyway, yeah, so those are all my books. That is, I guess, my All Hallows Read TBR. I guess it's not so much of a book talk like I promised. I'm sorry. There probably won't be any book talks, like solid book talks, until November, when I'm not reading spooky scary stories for All Hallows Read. I will see you all next time.